my name's Prairie, and my friend Abra started this YouTube video shout out thing about mental illness. And so I wanted to share my story. A lot of people, even my close friends, don't really know this about me because it's not something I talk about very often. So this is a big deal for me, and I hope that you will get something from my story. So basically, when I was younger, I struggled with extreme anxiety. The doctors diagnosed me with OCD and PTSD and all those fancy names for mental illness. And so in elementary and middle school, I saw a lot of counselors. Basically, I worried about anything and everything and things that definitely did not make sense. I worried if I kicked a rock in a certain direction towards the train, that it would hit the train and the train would crash and it would be this big disaster. Did not make sense. I also worried about, let's say, this one time I was in class and I stuck out my pencil a little bit to the edge of my desk, and the teacher walked by and my pencil brushed him. He didn't even notice, but I was terrified that he was going to get lead poisoning from my pencil. And so after class I went to talk to him and I told him what happened, and he was pretty confused by my fear, which is fair enough because they really didn't make sense. They didn't. And I was really worried that people were going to think I was insane or something because of these worries. And so I didn't talk to people about it a lot. But my family knew and my close friends could tell because I would ask them over and over again, is it going to be okay? Is it going to be okay? Is it going to be okay? I was very scared of hurting people. And basically, I also had a lot of panic attacks. Panic attacks about, certain triggers. And one of my triggers that some people know and some people don't was the stomach flu. If someone puked or gagged or coughed wrong or anything, I was crying or freaking out. And so that was a big deal, and I was starting to have panic attacks pretty often. And so my mom tried everything. We tried, like I said, I went to a lot of counselors, and we tried me listening to videos of ocean waves, and people tried to explain that the stomach flu is not going to hurt me or affect me, and it's part of life. But basically, it didn't matter. It didn't work. Something triggered it in my brain, and that was that. So anyways, what happened was this one night, I was at a friend's house, and she got sick. And I ran. I bolted out of their house. It was like 2 in the morning. Her parents were asleep, but they heard what was going on, and I took off. And I was in mega flight mode, running as fast as I could. And then I collapsed, and then I realized that I gotta get home. She's probably called my parents. I should get home now. So I started walking home, and my house was far enough away that I shouldn't have been walking at 2 in the morning. But anyways, I knew where to go, and so I was walking along, and I got to this spot in the sidewalk where there was a street light and a truck. And the way that the street light and the shadows hit the truck and all the lighting, whatever, it made this shadow on the sidewalk that I don't know what it was, but it looked funny. And in my mind at that time and in my imagination, I thought it was something scary, and I didn't want to walk there. But everywhere else on the road and everything was even darker, so that wasn't gonna work. So I just kind of collapsed and cried, and I was just so tired of having these fears, of being afraid all the time, and feeling like I couldn't even control my own mind. And I feel like that was a really big step for overcoming. That God came and walked me through that, and I had to walk through that shadow. You know, part of me knew it was just a shadow, and then the other part was screaming that I was just terrified and overcome by fear, but I had to overcome it. I had to walk through it, and I know that God came and helped me. He's always there, but He really helped me in that moment. And I walked all the way home, and I felt like I was walking with Jesus, that He was there, and He knew everything I was feeling and everything I had been going through, but He was going to get me through. And that was a big moment that changed a lot. I told my mom about that experience, and she really understood things. My parents had a hard time understanding my panic attacks because I had such a hard time talking about it. Anyways, that was kind of a life-changing moment for me when I realized that God is bigger than panic attacks, and He's bigger than my fears. From that point on, I still had issues and I still had panic attacks, but somehow I knew deep down that it was going to work out anyways. Then my mom and my sister found out that they had extreme thyroid problems, which are highly genetic, and so I got tested and I had the worst. My thyroid was totally not working, basically, or overworking, I'm not even sure. But I got on thyroid meds, and that changed everything. It actually totally helped. With the panic attacks, they dropped drastically. My triggers, they were still there, but the way I handled things was better. I started gaining weight, which was a huge problem. And yeah, it literally changed everything. And that really helped us too, because we realized that sometimes you have to deal with the physical and the chemical imbalances and the hormone imbalances to help your mind. And that was a huge moment for me. So basically, I've come a long way. That was a lot of that stuff happened in elementary school and middle school, and after that it just got better and better and better, and every day it gets better. And I still have panic attacks a little bit, but rarely. And I usually can take care of myself when they happen. I can leave the room, hopefully, and just kind of go away from the situation that's setting me off. But basically, those crazy, weird, insane fears that did not make sense at all, I hardly have those ever. And usually, if it comes up, it's just because I got a little lazy on taking my thyroid meds. They're natural meds. I had tried a lot of the chemical meds when I was younger, and they just kind of messed up my dreams and caused depression and all sorts of things. No one really likes taking drugs that are supposed to help you mentally, because they always do something else too. And so yeah, I'm doing really well, and a lot of people don't even know I have this problem because it doesn't come up very often, and I'm that far along. So basically, I wanted to share my story with you because you might have it totally different. You might worry about tests and exams like my friend Abra did, or other things, or different triggers. Or you might be worrying about these things that totally do not make sense at all, like I did. But I just wanted to share this encouragement, really, and this hope, because sometimes we look at these physical and mental illnesses and we think, okay, this is just something I'm going to have to work through for my entire life, and I'm just going to live and try and survive through this. But it's not really that way. We do have physical problems, and we need to treat the physical illness for sure. But I truly believe that God is bigger than our panic attacks. He's bigger than our worries and our triggers and our situations. And He's bigger than health problems and mind problems. He's bigger than it all. And what changed everything was the thyroid pills, for sure. So you've got to treat the physical, chemical, whatever imbalance, the hormone imbalance, whatever. Yeah, for sure. But what also changed everything was me realizing that God was there. He was there, even if I didn't feel Him during my panic attacks, because sometimes your mind just goes off and you don't even realize what you're thinking or what's going on or anything. But God was there that whole time, and He was looking out for me, and He's looking out for you. He walked with me on this journey, and I just felt that He's looking down on me, and He was saying, you're in my hands. You know, this situation may completely be out of your control, but it's not out of my control. And that was a life-changing moment for me that has gone with me my entire life and will go with me for my entire life. And the one thing about mental illnesses too is that when you are constantly working to overcome them, you get really strong. You get really strong. Even when you're fighting depression too, people who fight depression, you get really strong. When you're fighting mental battles, you overcome. And you have to constantly overcome. And battles of the mind are insanely tough. When you're feeling like your mind is out of control, it's hard. But you learn to be strong, and you learn to have faith, and you learn to work through it. And I give God all the glory and all the credit for me being where I am today. You know, I am totally different and in a totally different place of my life, and I don't have these insane fears the way I used to. And now, because I've overcome that, I know that I can overcome anything, really. If you can overcome what's going on in your mind, you can overcome a lot. And so, yeah, I just want to offer this encouragement, and I wanted to share my story. If there's people out there, I know there's people out there who are going through things that I did, and it's hard to talk about. It's really hard to talk about, because a lot of people don't understand. But I do, and I also understand that God can heal anything. He's bigger than our health problems. He's bigger than our mental problems. He's bigger than our worries. And perfect love casts out fear. And God is perfect love. And we can overcome fear. So, feel free to make a video like I did, and Abra did, and check out her video. Thanks.